Hello and welcome. Life, in its deepest essence, is not a mechanistic process reducible to chemical reactions or genetic codes. It is an ongoing miracle, an orchestration of intelligence and energy that eludes even our most advanced scientific understanding. From the moment of conception, the human body undertakes a process so intricate and awe-inspiring that even the most sophisticated laboratories cannot replicate it. Cells self-organize, not merely by the instructions of DNA, but through a blueprint that appears to lie beyond the material. As Rupert Sheldrake has suggested, the DNA is not the brain of the cell. It is more like a library. We are formed not only of matter, but through a subtle choreography of energy and intention that speaks of a universe charged with purpose, as if responding to an invisible rhythm beyond space and time. This miraculous self-assembly is not confined to the womb. It continues throughout our lives in healing, regeneration, and even in the act of perception. We are not machines. We are vibratory beings engaged in a continual dialogue with our environment, receiving, emitting, resonating. Every organ, every system, every breath is evidence of what Aristotle long ago observed. The whole is more than the sum of its parts. Recent work in biophysics and morphogenetics increasingly supports the idea that living systems are guided by fields of information that cannot be explained through matter alone. These discoveries urge us to rethink our basic metaphors, from machines to organisms, from computation to communion. Modern science, particularly in its reductionist form, often misses this truth. In its effort to isolate variables and quantify outcomes, it reduces living systems to mechanical models and chemical exchanges. Yet life, in all its complexity, defies such simplification. To study the human being as if it were merely a machine is to study a symphony by examining only the notes. Einstein once said, "We must learn to see the world anew." The poet William Blake likewise cautioned against this flattening gaze when he wrote, "If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite." It is time we begin to regard biology not just as a science of the body, but as a gateway into the sacred mystery of being. The prevailing culture, however, teaches us to fear death, to resist aging, and to treat the body as a problem to be managed. But aging is not a failure. It is nature's poetic gesture, reminding us that all form is finite, and that the soul, in its eternal essence, chooses to experience life through contrast and impermanence. As Rabindranath Tagore wrote, "Death is not extinguishing the light. It is only putting out the lamp because the dawn has come." Our discomfort with mortality reflects a broader discomfort with mystery. We have come to worship control and efficiency, forgetting that the most meaningful dimensions of life, love, awe, and wonder, arise from surrender, not domination. The human experience is a soul's descent into form, not as punishment, but as pilgrimage. Rather than clinging to control, true vitality arises from surrendering to life's innate intelligence. Practices like biohacking or efforts to manipulate nature betray a fundamental mistrust. These interventions may promise longevity, but often reinforce the illusion that we are separate from the fabric of life. Instead, we must return to reverence, to the deep humility that acknowledges we are participants in something far greater than ourselves. As Gandhi said, "There is a force in the universe, which, if we permit it, will flow through us and produce miraculous results." To live well is to be in rhythm with that force, to yield to its wisdom. The ecological crisis we now face is not an external problem, but an internal dislocation. Our disconnection from the natural world mirrors our disconnection from the sacred. We have ceased to see ourselves as part of nature's body. The forests burn and the oceans rise, not merely because of carbon emissions, but because of a collective amnesia. We have forgotten our place. Yet indigenous traditions and emerging ecological sciences affirm that humans, in balance, are not parasites, but keystone species. When rightly placed, our presence nourishes biodiversity and amplifies the vibrational health of ecosystems. Chief Seattle reminded us, "The Earth does not belong to us. We belong to the Earth." Examples like the reintroduction of wolves into Yellowstone National Park demonstrate how a single species, aligned with its ecological role, can regenerate an entire biome. The wolves reshaped river paths, rebalanced prey populations, and transformed forests not by force, but by presence. Likewise, our souls are meant to regenerate, to realign with the vibrational symphony of life. Practices like rewilding, allowing native species to return, restoring soil, and embracing natural cycles are not merely ecological strategies. They are spiritual imperatives. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "We are the consciousness of the earth." In honoring this truth, we begin to transform ecology into liturgy. We evolve to a higher level beyond our current application of competitive, greedy selves. Our modern illness is, in part, vibrational. The food we consume, stripped of vitality, grown in poisoned soils, processed into lifeless calories, carries a frequency of trauma. The body registers this, not just biochemically, but energetically. As Michael Pollan wrote, "You are what you eat, but more importantly, you are what your food eats." Factory-farmed meat, for instance, carries not only physical toxins, but the energetic imprint of suffering, which then translates into stress, inflammation, even anxiety. We are eating disconnection. Healing begins when we recognize that the body is not simply a machine to be repaired, but an instrument of perception and transformation. Ancient traditions have always known this. In Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine, food is understood not merely in terms of calories or nutrients, but as a carrier of prana or qi, life force. When we eat with reverence, when we plant gardens, when we care for the soil, we participate in a sacred economy of energy. Wendell Berry wrote, "Eating is an agricultural act, but it is also a spiritual act, a remembering of our interdependence." Our disconnection from Earth also manifests in the subtle inflammation of the nervous system, often triggered by technological saturation. The nervous system, bathed in artificial light and digital signals, forgets the primal rhythms of sun, moon, and soil. One of the simplest, most profound remedies is grounding, placing bare feet on soil, immersing the body in the Earth's electromagnetic field. John Muir wrote, "In every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks." Science now confirms that the Earth's surface electrons help neutralize inflammation, restoring the body's natural charge. This is not mysticism, it is electrical truth, and it is our birthright. Yet perhaps the most radical act of all is to be present. We are taught to seek answers, to optimize, to strive, but the soul's journey is not linear. Like rivers, we meander. The spiritual traditions remind us, "Be still and know that I am God." Presence is not passive. It is the most profound form of action. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And to do so, we must first feel. To feel fully is to be alive." In a culture that numbs, to feel is revolutionary. In this age of acceleration and fragmentation, the invitation is not to escape or transcend, but to remember. The Platonic concept of anamnesis, spiritual remembering, speaks to this. We are not learning something new. We are remembering what we already are. The soul's blueprint is not a rigid map, but a series of sacred appointments, milestones we may reach through detours, losses, and awakenings. Love, as a frequency, guides this journey. Simone Weil wrote, "Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. To give attention to life, to beauty, to pain, is to enact love." And what is love but the magnetic pull toward beauty, toward wholeness? God, in the truest sense, is the still point in the universe, the unchanging axis around which the dance of form takes place. To witness beauty, to feel it, is to generate the frequency of love. It is no coincidence that every spiritual tradition, stripped to its essence, the perennial philosophy, teaches presence, compassion, and awe. Beauty is not ornament, but revelation. It is the face of the divine made visible. Let us then plant trees, not just for shade or carbon capture, but as acts of sacred remembrance. Let us touch the earth, eat real food, mourn deeply, and laugh freely. Let us dissolve the illusion of separation. For we are not isolated minds in dying bodies, but living miracles, vibratory patterns in a sacred geometry of cosmic life. We are not alone. We never were.